Happy Tuesday. Happy January. Happy New Year. Happy Tuesday. Coaches, join us. Come on, come all, come on in to this Facebook Live today. We've got a pretty juicy topic. I know that I say that every week, that we have a juicy topic, but we really do today. And this particular topic, how to identify and avoid red flags in potential coaching clients. So in prospects, just going to check my mic here. That's the topic today. We actually got several requests from you guys in this group for me to go live on this topic. And like I always mention, I'm always taking requests. I pick these topics based on what you guys want to learn. So by all means, if something else is coming up for you and you're like, gosh darn it, I want to learn this topic, please, now is the time. Go into the chat and drop a comment and share, this is the topic I want to learn more about. And we will add that to our lineup of topics I go live on. What's up, Hallie? Thank you for tagging everybody in today's live. As you guys are coming in today, I see some people trickling in. Today's question is, as you're coming in, coaches, drop me a comment. I want to hear, what is your word for 2024? What is your word for 2024? And I want to tell you, I'm still pondering this. I have a couple ideas of what I want my word to be, but I always think it's cool for coaches to share ideas here, because what you share may be an inspiration to someone else. What's going on, Heather? Welcome Heather and Hallie to the group. Heather and Hallie are here to support y'all. So if you need something, if you have any questions, please feel free to tag Heather or Hallie or me. We are here for that. Charlotte's word for 2024 is exceptional. I love it, Charlotte. I love it. How did you come up with exceptional? Amy, what's going on? One of my favorite people. Amy's word is abundance and wealth. I love it. Own it. Own it, baby. Abundance, more than enough to go around for everyone. Love that. Angel, purpose. Absolutely. If we don't have purpose, what do we have? Michelle's word for 2024 is growth. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Keep them words coming. You guys are inspiring me. I'm looking down right now because I want to pop into my Facebook group and make sure y'all can hear me, see me. Sometimes I can see the comments better this way too. So I like to have this by my side. All right. Let's jump into today. And again, as you're coming in, let us know, what is your word for 2024? So we're getting a lot of new people to the group. Hallie, you might have let a bunch of people in this morning. I know at one point there were like 20 people waiting, so very exciting stuff. We have new people joining us in the group the past couple of weeks, last week, this week, because people are piling in for our upcoming free workshop, the Strategic Corporate to Coach Transition Plan Workshop. So that is coming up. Hence, all the new peeps in Facebook, in our Facebook group. So welcome to everybody that's new. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Betty Kempa, business coach for coaches, member of Forbes Coaches Council. I am an IPEC graduate. For those of you familiar with IPEC, which, by the way, you guys know for those of you who know me well, I always ask this question because I get curious. If we have any IPEC coaches in the house, drop it into the comments. IPEC in the house. I always love to see who my fellow IPECians are. And for those of you not familiar, it's a coach certification program that I took. What else can I tell you about me? Ranked one of the top coaches in Denver. And then I moved to the Tampa area. So I was then ranked one of the top coaches in Tampa by Influence Digest. I am the founder of the Corporate to Six-Figure Coach Academy, where we help corporate renegades ditch the 9-to-5 and replace their six-figure corporate income repackage their genius into their dream coaching business so they can feel passionate about what they do as a coach and enjoy the freedom of entrepreneurship. Couple things you should know before I get into today's training, and you should always try to figure this out when you're meeting a coach for the first time or listening to their content or their podcast or their live, is what is their, I don't want to say their angle, but what makes that coach unique, because we each have a certain style of how we coach. So just, this is important for y'all to know because it's going to affect what I teach. So when I'm teaching my clients, there's a couple things I do differently than some of the other business coaches out there. So one, I teach my clients how to create high ticket, and I put that in parentheses because it's an arbitrary term, but high ticket coaching programs. Why? Why do I do that? So that my clients can sell 1 to 2 coaching packages per month, 1 to 2 per month, in order to hit their financial target of replacing their corporate income. That's the idea here, right? Because most of my clients are coming to me in a corporate job still. I don't want them burning out selling lower ticket programs or digital courses. I want them to create something high ticket, it's got to have value. And that's where I come in, right? We're not going to just slap on a price ticket. I'm going to help my clients figure out, okay, for your niche, what do we need to include in your methodology and your deliverables so that the value of what you're offering is about double the price ticket. So that's one thing that I do. We don't do burnout here. My people are too busy to be having to sell 5 packages or 5 digital courses or whatever per month to hit their financial targets. No. We sell 1 to 2 coaching packages per month to replace the corporate income. The second thing I teach is organic marketing. So we do organic methods here versus, to put it bluntly, throwing away money on Facebook ads or complicated funnels. Now, here's a caveat. I'm cool with Facebook ads. All right. I use them, but my recommendation, I've heard this time and time again, and I believe it because I've seen it work for some and not for others. Do not come out the gate using Facebook ads. You need to get past your first 6 figures, and for some of you, maybe even double 6 figures. I think I waited until I was at 200K annual before I started pulling in Facebook ads. So in the beginning, to get to your first 6 figures, your first double 6 figures, so maybe 200K, we're going to rely on organic methods before we, start bringing in anything else. Don't throw away your money in the beginning. It's a waste. So that's something you need to know about me before I get into today's training. As always, if you'd like additional coaching support with your business, there is a link in the copy of this post where you can apply for a discovery call with my team. What do we do on a discovery call? We learn more about your business challenges and goals. It's a get to know you call. Is what it is. We get to know you, you get to know us. That would be your chance to ask us any questions, and we can see if we are a fit, right? That's what that is, right? We're learning. It's a learning call. You will leave a discovery call with 3 things. 1, a deeper understanding of what the Corporate to 6-Figure Coach Academy entails. So you will be very well versed on, okay, if I use this program to help me achieve my business goals in 2024, this is what is included. 2, on that call, we will do a deep dive to uncover why you have not yet achieved your goals, right? It's important we understand what's the bottleneck, what's in your way. It's different for everybody depending where you are on that trajectory. And lastly, you'll learn the steps to take to achieve your business goals. So on that call, we will, whether or not you join the academy, on that call, we will go through with you my signature method and what I call the 5 C's to replacing, I use my hands when I talk, and I almost knocked my water bottle all the way off my table, but I didn't. So whether or not you join the academy on a discovery call, you will learn the steps to take to achieve your business goals. All right, so that's my TED Talk. Before I move on today, I know Michelle's a fellow IPECian. What's going on, Michelle? Any other IPECians with us today? Or just in general, let us know. And you don't have to be certified as a coach to be here, but I'm always just curious. If you are getting certified, or if you are certified, drop in the link. Let us know. Let us know where you guys certified. It's always cool to kind of see, connections, Who might you know here? So one last quick announcement before we hop into today's juicy topic, how to identify red flags in coaching prospects and how to avoid red flags. Very important. And I think this is an important topic. I'm glad you guys requested this topic. This is something I wish I would have learned before I got started. I always like to tell my clients, I'm your guinea pig. Let me get out there. Let me make some mistakes. Let me learn the hard way. Let me use my time and money to learn these mistakes, and then I'll come back and tell you guys what to do and what not to do. So before we get into that, one quick last announcement. So I mentioned before, it's coming up, the free workshop, corporate professionals who are transitioning to coaching. And I know there's a lot of you in 2024 that, are coming from a corporate background or some kind of a 9-to-5 and you're looking to transition into coaching. We are having our first of the year free 5-day strategic corporate to coach transition plan workshop. So important that when you're kicking off this year, you don't want to just go right into, let me attract clients. It's like, whoa, hold up. We need a blueprint for you to feel confident on how to transition from your corporate job to a full-time coaching business. And I think it's the perfect time, being January, being the beginning of the year, for us to lay out that blueprint for you and help you customize it. So we're doing this live training. It's coming up Monday, January 22nd to Friday, January 26th. So mark your calendars. We're doing it in the evening hours after work. There is a link in the copy near this post where we included where you could register in order to join the workshop. Heather and or Hallie, would y'all do me a favor and drop in the link in the comments for people to register for the upcoming workshop? Because that is important. If you're not registered yet, you need to get registered now, because there's some action items that you're going to want to take before the workshop starts on the 22nd. So the idea here is that this blueprint is going to mitigate risk. I don't like risk. Most of my clients don't like risk. So the blueprint's going to mitigate risk and allow for a smooth corporate to coach transition, right? So the idea here is no more stressing over the finances or getting clients once you've left your job, right? Because you're going to learn what work to do on the front end. Okay, that's the blueprint. So you're going to learn how to mitigate financial risk when you're leaving your corporate job to coach. You're going to learn, how do you know when the timing is right to take the leap out of corporate? And what do you need to get done first before you can take the leap? You're going to learn, and this is a really exciting topic, how to get clients while you're still at your corporate job. Even if you can't post on LinkedIn, even if you're incognito, right? Most of my clients are dealing with that. So we'll talk about that and how to balance building your business while juggling your demanding corporate job. It ain't easy. So we're going to talk about a strategy to do that. If you've attended this workshop in the past, I invite you to come back. I'm bringing in new content based on questions that I've received from coaches. I'll be doing more hot seat coaching so that each of you can ask any and all questions on how to bring your customized, and I do want to emphasize the word customized. This isn't a cookie cutter blueprint. It's going to be a customized corporate to coach transition plan, how to bring that to life. And we're going to talk you through that. So mark your calendars, 22nd through the 26th. It's coming up here in a little over a week. The only way to save your seat is to get registered. Heather just dropped a link into the comments on how to get registered. So you're going to want to get registered there, put in your email, and then follow the instructions once you put in your email, and it will tell you how to get your free workbook, which goes along with the training. So that is my TED Talk number 2. And that's it. That's all I have for you. Let's get going on today's training, how to identify and avoid red flags in coaching prospects. So let's get going here, and feel free to ask questions while I'm going here. So I'm just hopping back into the chat here. Tara, what's up, Tara Shaw? Vicky, I know Vicky's from IPAC. What's going on, Nick? Debbie, what's going on, Debbie? Superstar Debbie. Productivity is my 2024 word. I love that for you, Debbie. I love that for you. I know Debbie very well, for those of you wondering. She's an Academy superstar. Tara completed Mod 1 in IPEC in December. Congrats, Tara. Hoping to start the rest of the program in March. Beautiful. Perfect timing to be starting to think about the business aspect while you're going through IPEC. And Angel just signed up for the workshop. Good stuff, Angel. Can't wait to see you on the 22nd. And we'll be on Zoom. You don't have to come on camera, but you can if you want. We'll be, we can be face to face, but you don't have to, no pressure. But I am excited to see some of you guys starting on the 22nd. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about today's topic. So there is nothing worse, and I'm speaking, I'm trying to share with you guys what I have learned over time, and some of you probably already know this too. Some of you have no idea because you're just getting started with coaching. But I'm going to tell you that there is nothing worse than you sign a client, right? You sign them on, they sign their contract and make their first payment. You're excited, right, to work with this human being. And then you get working with them, and however long it goes on, a month, 2 months, and then all of a sudden you realize, oof, this is not a fit. This person and me, this person in my coaching program, this is not a fit. This is not a fit. So the idea here is we want to look for red flags before we invite them to coach with us. That's the whole idea. You have to learn how to identify red flags before you sign on a client, or both of you are in for a bumpy ride, right? The client gets frustrated. You get frustrated, right? Because you're seeing other people with great success, but this person isn't taking action, or whatever the case may be, their attitude, there's a million things. So it's a bumpy ride. So we don't want to see that. Why is it important to identify red flags before you start working with a client? And drop into the chat. Help me out here. Stacy, I love Fearless for you. Yes. Stacy, another Academy superstar, Fearless. That is so you. So drop into the comments, y'all, and I'll share my thoughts here. Why is it important to identify red flags before you start working with the client? Drop it into the comments. Think about it. Red flags that might indicate to you, ooh, I don't know if this person and I are a fit to work together. Why is it important? Because some people might think, I know this might sound wild, but some people might think, well, Betty, red flags, what are you who cares? We're trying to make money here. I'm trying to hit my financial goals. This person's willing to pay me, right? And I'm saying, no, it ain't worth it. If you see red flags, do not work with that person. So drop into the comments. Why is it important to identify red flags before you start working with a client? And Stacy has it down. Stacy has it down. Protecting your reputation. Absolutely. Protecting your reputation. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second here, right? But if somebody joins the program and either they're not feeling successful, or maybe they're frustrated, or whatever it is, right? And then they start talking, that's your reputation. So it's a great example, Stacy. Protecting your energy. I think that's one of the most important, right? I mean, I see a lot of my clients that are leaving their corporate job because their corporate job was toxic. Their corporate job was draining them. They had a bad boss. You don't want to leave that to step right into working with somebody who's going to be an energy vampire. And every time you see their name on your calendar, you're like, ugh, right? So absolutely, Stacy. I think that's one of the most important. Protect your energy. Robert says, waste of our time. Absolutely. It's a waste of everybody's time, right? And time is the most valuable thing we could have. Waste of everybody's time. Protecting your brand. Yes, Stacy. Michelle, they are looking for answers. Absolutely. The people that want give me the magic pill. Give it to me, right? It's like the Matrix, red pill or blue pill. Give me the magic pill. It don't work like that. If it did, we'd all be billionaires. Dana, as a red flag relationship expert. Ooh, so we've got a red flag relationship expert in our midst. Love that, Dana. Our energy and mindset is important for our value as much as theirs. Absolutely. Yeah, if that synergy is off, if our energy is being drained, if their energy is being drained, if our mindset is off, if their mindset is off, right? It's kind of like a ping pong ball going back and forth. Absolutely. Love that, Dana. Amy, cost, right? People saying, I want a refund. Time spent. You might find yourself spending all this extra time with these people when really you want to be spending time with the clients that want to be there, that want to take the action. Absolutely, Amy. Time spent and lost, and an energy sink. Yeah, I love how everybody's bringing up energy because it's so true. It is so true. I could look back at my calendar and probably identify different periods in the past 4 or 5 years of working with different types of people when my energy was so drained by whoever, fill in the blank, and not to go into what was I say for IPEC people, energy level 1 victim mode, right? But when you're getting that drained, it's tough, man. It's not just that hour that takes it out of you, right? It might be your whole day is kind of feeling shooken up by working with that person. So everybody's on point here. So let's jump into it. And I want to add a couple other things. Why do you want to identify red flags before you start working with a client? 1, you do not want to sign on anybody that you have identified ahead of time is not going to be successful in your program. And I know that's hard to predict, but it's like riding a bike. The longer you work with clients, the longer you're in business, you're going to be able to start to predict who are the types of people that tend to have success in my program. What is required for a human to have success in my program? So if you identify somebody that you're like, this is not the ideal client profile that has success in this program, that's a problem, right? Not only is the client then unhappy once they join, like some of you said, it could reflect poorly on your brand. Next, it's painful to work with a client with red flags. And that could be one of many things we'll talk about, whether they're not open-minded. And that's hard, right? It's like you're speaking to a brick wall. They want to do it their way, right? So whether they're not open-minded, maybe they're not willing to try a new way of doing things, right? Coaching is about pushing boundaries, right? Coaching isn't about just like, let's do it the easy way, right? Sometimes some of the things we coach our clients on are going to rattle them a little, and that's a good thing. So if they're not willing to try a new way of doing things, if they expect a magic pill for success, right? Give me the magic pill. Or if they expect you to do all the work for them, right? Clients like this, you guys talked about an energy suck. That's an energy suck. It's painful. Overall, bottom line, no matter how much you charge, so no matter what the cost is of your program, and the cost of your program will change over time. I don't care how much you charge. I don't care if you're charging $50K right now, if you're charging $100K. And yes, some coaches are charging that. It's not worth it, period. If you've identified red flags, no money in the world is worth it, is worth that energy drain and everything else that we mentioned. A client with a poor attitude is going to suck the joy right out of coaching. And that's not why we became coaches. I know you guys didn't go through all the hard work of leaving a toxic corporate workplace or a bad boss to then sit down and say, oh yeah, here I am with my business. And then you've got this client who's, got a nasty attitude or, their energy's off or whatever it is. They don't want to be there. They don't want to do the work, right? We don't want to, what's it called? Jumping out of the fire to the frying pan or whatever. That's what that's like. So it comes down to this. How do you spot the red flags ahead of time so that you can avoid these types of clients? And better yet, how do you attract the right types of clients? So that's what I want to talk about today. So 4 specific things I want to cover before we hop off. 1, I want to talk about what specific red flags to avoid and why. What could some of these red flags potentially lead to down the road? Now, I'm giving you my take on this, but I'm doing this live, so feel free to share in the comments some of your red flags. That if you were doing a discovery call with somebody and you noticed whatever, fill in the blank, I would love to hear. Drop into the comments, what are some of your red flags that if you heard or you noticed or you saw, you'd be like, I don't think this is the client for me. Okay, so we're going to talk about what specific red flags to avoid. I'm sharing from my point of view and from what I've learned over time, but I'd love for y'all to share yours as well. What are specific red flags that you look to avoid? Second, we're going to talk about how to identify the red flags before signing on a client, right? Because it's not like a client's going to sit there and say, it's kind of like a first date, right? Going back to our dating coach who's with us, the red flag relationship expert, right? It's not like people sit down across from you and say, these are all the things that I have a problem with, right? It's detective work. You have to ask the right questions. You have to spot those red flags before signing on a client. So we're going to talk about how to identify them. 3, we're going to talk about how do you gracefully turn down a potential client that you know is not a fit for you ahead of time. And that's not easy. It's not easy. So let's get ahead of that. And lastly, number 4, we're going to talk about how to attract the green flag clients. Right? We talk about red flags. Well, how do you attract the green flag clients that you love to work with? And how do you identify what types of clients would be successful in your program? Right? Because we're looking for people that you have synergy with, you want to work with. And we're also looking for the types of people that would have success working with you, working in your coaching program, working through your signature methodology. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, when I talk about you need to have a signature methodology, that's a part of your coaching package, DM Heather Copey. Heather, wave your little virtual hand in the comments again. DM Heather Copey and say signature methodology, and she'll get you a free training on that topic. So DM Heather Copey, signature methodology, if you would like a free training on that topic, and she'll get it to you. And the reason why I'm telling you to DM her is oftentimes if she's DMing you, but you're not Facebook friends, it'll go into your junk, your spam, and you'll never know she messaged you. So there's her little virtual hand. Click on her name there and just message her and say signature methodology, and she'll get you that free training if you want to learn more. All right, so here we go. Feel free to ask any questions as I'm going through my agenda here with y'all. So first, what specific red flags to avoid and why? What could they lead to down the road? So again, I'm going to encourage you guys because I'm going to go through my take on this. And I know some of you, maybe most of you, right, are just getting started coaching. So you're like, girl, I don't know red flags yet. Like I haven't even had my first client, or I've only worked with a couple people, but I'm still curious, if you had somebody in front of you right now and you were running a discovery call, drop into the chat. What's the first thing that comes to mind that you're like, ooh, this would be a potential red flag that I would want to avoid? This would be a potential red flag. Drop it into the chat. And I'm going to go through my list while you're doing that. So number 1, the people that want a magic pill, a magic bullet, no matter what your niche is, right? In the business world, typically it's the get rich quick. And you guys have seen those bro marketers out there too, right? That are like, yeah, get rich quick. All you got to do is this one thing and you could be a millionaire in 1 week. Right? So clients who prospects who are expecting a magic pill, give me the magic bullet, give me the magic pill. No matter the niche, it doesn't exist. Why? Because when it comes to coaching takes work, right? Coaching takes work. It's not a get rich quick, or for you dating coaches, it's not a fall in love and get married quick, or for you leadership coaches, it's not become an amazing leader and get promoted quick, right? These things don't happen overnight. So the people that are like, yeah, I'll join, but I just, just give me what it is. And, I'm looking for the magic bullet, and, that's their vibe. That's a red flag. Okay. The clients who get great results, again, no matter the niche, are what types of people? They're people, like if you look at someone's testimonial page and you ever see people say results are not typical. Why are results not typical? Well, it's because the clients with great results are the ones who they aren't typical. They worked hard. They showed up. They did the work. If you are not willing to do the work, then coaching is not for you. Okay, so that's my first red flag that I want to call out here. Oh, we got some people sharing their thoughts. I love it. Stacy, on fire today. Someone who has lots of offensive words about others who they've worked with, especially previous coaches. Yeah, Stacy, that's on my list. Absolutely. And it's tough too, because I don't know, maybe all of us at a certain point have worked with a certain type of coach that we're like, not my favorite. But if you get on a call and there's a lot of blame game and finger pointing, well, I didn't achieve the goal because I had this horrible coach and they were so terrible, and they're going on and on and on and bad mouthing their previous coaches, red flag. It's just like a job interview. When you're interviewing someone for a job, and that person, you ask them like, why are you leaving your last company? Even if the last company was terrible, they sit there and badmouth their boss. My boss was terrible, da-da-da. Is that a good sign? Do you want to work with somebody like that? No. So Stacy, I think that's one of the most important things. Absolutely. Linda, what's up, Linda? They already think they know everything based on what they learned on TikTok. I love you so much, Linda. Yeah, you're right. If they're coming into your coaching program saying, oh, yeah, I already know this, I already know that, I already know this, what is that attitude going to get them? Well, one, it's like, why are you here if you already know everything, right? I need you to be open-minded and open to trying new things. Somebody who comes in as kind of a know-it-all, right? That's going to be painful, right? To kind of rattle that person and say, hey, what you've been doing hasn't been working. Let's try something new. And yeah, shiny object syndrome, right? We got TikTok, we got Twitter, we got YouTube, we got Facebook, we got LinkedIn, we got podcasts, all these different things in our ears telling us this is the right way to do things. So somebody comes in to work with you and says, oh yeah, I'm listening to this thing. I know exactly how to do it. It's kind of like, why are you here then? Right? I'm here to coach you through a new way of doing things. Yeah. Michelle, as coaches, we're here to try and work through what our clients are looking to accomplish. But sometimes they can be all over the place with what they are wanting to work on. There is a fine line with knowing you can support and knowing they will never be able to narrow it down. Michelle, thank you for being honest. And I know sometimes talking about a topic like red flags, it's like, it can be easy for us to want to kind of tiptoe around the topic, but you said that perfectly, right? And let me be clear too. I think as coaches, we're curious people, right? We're coaches. We're curious. Shiny object syndrome. A lot of us have that because we get excited. Like, I want to learn this. I want to learn that. Shiny object syndrome. But if you run a discovery call with somebody and they are all over the place, you got to ask yourself, can I rein that person in? Right? Because it's one thing to say, yeah, I have shiny object syndrome, but I'm willing to come into your program and to focus. I'm willing to come into your program and to tell you. I'm always telling my clients this, when we do hot seats, I'm telling my clients, guys, a great hot seat question is, Betty, I feel overwhelmed. Where do I focus? I love that kind of a question, because then I can see, okay, this is what you're working on. Put that aside, put that aside, put that aside. Focus on this because your goal this month is this. And Michelle says, we want to help. Yeah, as long as they're willing to come to us and say, hey, help me focus, right? That's one thing. But if somebody comes and they're all over the place on the discovery call, and, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and we're coaching them towards one specific outcome with our signature method, right? That could be a bumpy ride. That could be a very bumpy ride. So you really need to think about on that call, do I want to work with this person? Can I rein it in with this person? Because if you can't rein it in, it's tough to get them results, right? So going back to the, hey, I want a magic bullet type of person, what happens when you work with that type of person? Because I'm sharing with you red flags, and then I'm sharing, well, what happens when you bring on a person like that? What are the potential implications? Well, one thing, the magic bullet people, once they get to coaching with you, which coaching is not, hey, here's the answer all wrapped in a pretty package. What happens when you work with a magic bullet person? Give me the magic bullet. One, potentially, they could point the finger at you if they don't get the results they want, even if they aren't willing to do the work in your program, right? Hey, I didn't achieve ABC, so you're the problem, or your coaching program's the problem. But then you look at their work and you're like, you haven't even gotten through the program, or you haven't even done up and shown up and done the work, right? So what happens? People have to be willing to do the work. I know that maybe is such a generic thing, and I keep saying that, but it's just the truth. There's not a magic bullet. And here's another important thing too. You can even ask a prospect this on a call, on a discovery call. You could even ask a prospect, hey, what's your definition of doing the work? If you were to join my program, talk to me about what's your definition of doing the work. And it's not meant to be a trick question, but what I'm trying to get at here, sometimes people think that doing the work is, well, yeah, I showed up for your coaching session and I watched your video and I even did your worksheet. You're like, okay, cool, but then did you implement? Right? It's not about just, I showed up for the call. What's the problem, Betty? I'm showing up for the call each week. I did the worksheet. None of that matters unless you take it out into real life beyond the four walls of your home and implement. That's doing the work, right? So for most of you, when you build your signature method, right, and we're going to build the signature method, you're going to test the signature method, right? I have a whole module where I walk people through on that. So at a certain point, it's like, yeah, my method works, but it takes commitment, effort, and follow through on your part. Commitment, effort, and follow through. Another red flag, impatience. And this goes hand in hand with the magic bullet, right? The people that want it now, impatience. And not only not willing to do the work, but they're not willing to show up consistently. Showing up, you've heard that before. You got to show up. You got to show up. You don't have to just show up. You got to show up consistently, right? Doing work that you recommend consistently over time. I read that it takes 90 days to build a habit. A habit. So if it takes 90 days to build a habit, how long might it take for us to create transformational change in a client? So we're with them, right? We're hand-holding them through this transformational change. They got to have patience and be willing to show up consistently. Again, I'm just giving an example here. Let's say, again, I'm on a dating coach kick right now. Maybe it's because I saw one of you. I know you're not a dating coach. You're what did you say? Relationship red flag coach, which I love that. But I'm going to use dating coach. If you're a dating coach and you're telling people, hey, part of my signature method is you need to get out of the house, out of the apartment, and go to three events or locations per week where you can interact with others. I'm making that up. But let's say that you've tried and tested that, and that seems to be the magic number. And you get a client and they do it for a week and they're like, oh, it didn't work. I didn't meet anyone. It didn't work. You're like, you tried it 1 week, right? Showing up consistently means you have to do it week after week, right? Until something changes. Another red flag, timing. And this isn't necessarily like, oh, it's a bad thing. Red flags don't make people bad people, right? It's just red flags means this might not be a person for me to work with. That's all. So timing, right? Is this person ready to start working on this urgent problem that you coach? Are they ready to start? Right? What's their timeline? Right? Are they like, oh, let me pick another niche. Let's see, a career niche. Somebody wants a new job and you're talking to them in the DMs and you say, oh, well, what's your timeline for getting a new job? They're like, maybe in 5 years or so. Well, that's great, but they're probably not ready for you yet, right? If they're not motivated to do the work until 5 years passes, right? That's not, oh, it's a red flag, you're a bad person. It's not like that, but there's no need to get on a discovery call and to do all, the song and dance if the timeline is off, if there's no urgency, right? What happens when you sign on a client like that doesn't have any urgency, right? Discovery calls, nurturing the lead, etc., but they're not ready to start. So one, it's a waste of time, right? They're not ready. And our job as coaches is never to push people into being ready before they say they're ready. It's up to them to say, I'm ready. And it's up to us to stay in front of them so we're the first person that they think of when they are ready. Okay? But if you get somebody who starts your program who isn't really motivated, they're not feeling urgency because of their timeline, they might start the program and not feel very motivated to continue and dwindle off halfway through, right? That's a problem. People that, again, just listing out red flags, people that want you to do the work for them, right? Oh, well, I'm not good at ABC, so I want to join your program, but I'm hoping you guys will do that for me. That's not coaching. That's an agency. Agencies do work for you, right? Like a marketing agency, very expensive, but you could hire a marketing agency to do all your marketing. They do it for you. That's not coaching, right? So they want you to do the work for them. That's a problem. That's not coaching. They aren't open-minded to new ways of doing things. What's the definition of insanity? Who are my friends of Bill here? Definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity, right? So these people who are not open-minded to a new way of doing things, how can we help? If you're not willing to change something, what you're doing isn't working. Red flags, people who aren't willing, this is a good one. People who aren't willing to embrace imperfect action and make mistakes along the way. Now listen, I happen to attract a lot of type A perfectionist. Any in the house? Type A perfectionist? Hey, I'm one. So I get it. But at a certain point, right, you don't want to be working with people that are telling you, well, I'm not going to put up the website until it looks perfect. Well, I'm not going to do XYZ until it's perfect. Well, that's not entrepreneurship, right? Now I have templates, this, that, and the other that makes it easy for people to get started and, etc. But you got to be willing to just take action, right? Otherwise, you're in the spin cycle. Oh, it's got to be perfect. Embrace imperfect action and make mistakes along the way. What happens if you don't do that? The client joins your program, but they're not willing to embrace imperfect action. Well, it's not perfect yet. I need to edit. I had a client early on, 4 years ago, maybe 5. And copy is one of my strengths. And I'm happy to help with copy. I also have a copy coach who's in my academy who helps my clients as well. But this one client she would have me look at something and I'd provide her edits. I had a template, etc. But every session she would have me look at it again and again and again. And I would have to, right? At a certain point, it's got to go. Otherwise, how are we going to get to the goal? Right? They stay stuck and they don't make progress. Hopping over to the comments here too. Dana, I don't know. I've been highly impatient, so I can have the patience to work through that. But the showing up needs to go hand in hand. Absolutely. Yeah, I like how you put that too, Dana. I've been highly impatient, so I can have the patience to work through that. I like how you phrase that, but the showing up needs to go hand in hand. Yeah, you're right. And, listen, we all want results. You know what I mean? When you make an investment, you want to see results. That's why you're making the investment. So, it's not like when you're looking for clients, you're looking for a robot who doesn't have, they're perfect in every way and they're totally patient and they never get impatient. We're not looking for robots. But yeah, you're looking for people that, like you said, they're showing up. Needs to go hand in hand. And a lot of programs do have not a magic pill, but accelerators. For example, in my program, I pulled together 10 steps to book discovery calls. And in my program, for the people that pay in full, I do a live cash injection workshop. So sure, a lot of programs do have accelerator bonuses where you can kind of fast track it. For those of you who are, like, okay, systems go, let's do this. But, everything's on a spectrum, I feel, right? It's not black and white. It's not like people are patient or impatient. It's a spectrum, right? And you can kind of gauge that when you're on the discovery call. Right? The people that are like, I want this, I want that, da, 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 da. And the whole time, I hadn't even written this down, but I thought of this as a red flag too. The whole time during the call, they're getting interruptions and they're just kind of like telling you what they want. And it's almost like, wait, am I your assistant here or what's going on here? Right? So it's kind of like a spectrum, right? Patience versus impatience. But thanks for sharing that, Dana. What else is a red flag? Getting info. So I call it this: too many hands in the cookie jar. Getting info from too many coaches or contacts at once, right? So, you're working with the client, you're coaching them through something and you think you got them to a great place and they're constantly telling you, not like once or twice, but constantly, well, my father says da 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 da. Well, my husband says da 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 da. Well, my girlfriend says da 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 da. Well, the podcast I listen to says da 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 da. What happens when you're working with a client like that? Right? We're circling the drain. Because every time you're moving them forward with your method, they're like, oh, but I'm, shiny object. This person says this person says that. And their head is spinning around and around and around. So it's hard to move that type of person forward. Does that mean you guys can't listen to podcasts or, get the advice of your significant other? No. But I'm talking about the people that on every coaching call, put up a, oh, I heard this, so I'm not going to do this. I heard this, so I'm not going to do this, right? Everything's a challenge. I said this once and I thought it was maybe a weird thing to say, but then the person I said it to said it really helped her. When I said this was like one of my first group coaching clients. But I basically said, because I too, you guys, if you could see my wall, I read so many books. I listen to the podcast. I have my own coaches, right? So I get it. But I said to one gal, I said at a certain point, if you want to see real traction, at a certain point, you need to choose somebody's Kool-Aid to drink. At a certain point, right? It can't be like sip of this, sip of that, sip of this. At a certain point, we got to choose the Kool-Aid we're going to drink and focus in on that strategy and put everything we have into it. Another red flag, a person that is looking for all the freebie this, freebie that, freebie this, but not willing to put skin in the game, right? Not willing to put skin in the game. What happens with that type of person, right? Freebies are great. I do freebies all the time, and they're great. But usually, right, there are steps you need to take after that at a certain point. So what happens in that case? People may stay stuck, right? Freebies are only going to get you so far. People may not make the progress. People may be in shiny object syndrome, right? Freebie collecting. I got this guide, I got this video, I got this thing, right? At a certain point, I gotta choose someone's Kool-Aid to drink. Let's talk about red flags when it comes to attitude. For those of you from IPEC, you'll recognize this wording, but even if you're not from IPEC, you still may recognize this wording, catabolic. Put into the chat if you know what catabolic means and share with us that definition. And I didn't write down the definition, so I'm probably going to crush this definition, but a catabolic attitude meaning they're either stuck in kind of like victim mode, right? Victim mode, helpless, which, by the way, everybody, at some point is going to be at that point, but I'm talking about the people that stay there. They stay there. Or there's, a level 2 of energy where it's very defensive. We're on the defense. We're challenging everything, right? Kind of angry. So catabolic, it's not the type of, I always say, especially with my group, I have to filter who comes into our group, the academy, because each person's vibe affects the tribe. You bring someone in with catabolic energy who on a consistent basis has that type of energy, it's going to bring down the energy of the whole group, right? So attitude is going to be an important, Michelle, energy is destructive. A much cleaner way of putting it. Absolutely. Amy, I was just journaling about catabolic energy yesterday. Perfect timing. Specifically, that's the way to put it, Amy. Perpetual victim mode. Catabolic energy, that which does not help you grow, develop, or move forward. Yes. Would you want to be in a coaching group with that type of person? Probably not. Now, it's okay to have those moments. We all do. I do. But listen to what Amy said. Perpetual, right? Day after day. So you got to look at somebody's attitude. If you're talking to someone on a discovery call and they're giving you this attitude of, hey, Amy, I need you to prove to me that I should work with you. You ever get those people? They want you to tap dance for them. I don't want to work with that person. I don't want to work with that person. I mean, again, I use the analogy of dating. It's like going on a date and some guy says, why should I date you? What's so great about you? I'd be like, bye. But you'd be surprised. Some of the discovery calls, right? It's a two-way street, right? We're both learning about each other to see if we're a fit. It's not about you, the coach, having to prove to the client, let me prove to you I'm good enough. No, it's we are both looking to see if we're a match. If you're simply having a discovery call and the energy's just off, the energy is off, right? You guys are intuitive. The energy's off. I've seen this before. If the prospect is very demanding to you, very demanding. I'm talking about before you sign them on. They haven't even paid you yet, and they're very demanding. They haven't even paid you yet. I've seen some prospects be super demanding. And when I say demanding, I'm talking about rude demanding. Like, what's the word? Entitled, right? Get me this, get me that. You're not even paying us yet, right? If that's the way they treat you or your team before joining your program, red flag, right? If they're not motivated to achieve the goal, right? I always ask people the question, I'm trying to get into how motivated they are to achieve the goal that I'm helping people achieve. If you get a person that's kind of take it or leave it, like, I don't know, whatever. Do you want to work with that person? What happens if that person joins your coaching program, right? The client needs to be motivating themselves as well as you. It can't just be you, right? in order for them to achieve real results. You can't be dragging them to the finish line. It don't work like that. I remember in my early days, sometimes I felt like I had to, like, let me drag them to the finish line. You can guide them, but they have to be the one lacing up and running. I'm using a race analogy. We'll wrap this up here. The people who want a guarantee. And this one might be surprising to some of you. Now, I'm not going to say it's a red flag just for someone to ask that question. Like, oh, no, you asked the question, you're out. But the people who demand the guarantee, here's my thought on that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I've worked with many different coaches myself, many of whom I respect, many of whom I've paid quite the pretty penny to. None of them offer any sort of guarantee. And please be very wary of any coach out there who guarantees results, right? Again, it reminds me of the bro marketers. Guaranteed, guaranteed. It's like the flashy lights. That's a red flag. There are too many outside factors for any coaching program to guarantee results. I don't care what your niche is, because the results are going to be 100% dependent on the client showing up, taking instruction, being open-minded, being consistent, and doing the work. Okay? So the person demanding the guarantee, it doesn't work like that in coaching, right? That's not coaching, right? Guaranteed, guaranteed. This isn't like, I don't know, some kind of thing that guarantees, there's too many outside variables, right? You can talk about guaranteeing that I have a proven methodology and framework that I've tested and that I've seen be successful for these types of people. If you invest in yourself and if you do the work, if you implement every step, right? So beware of the, I need a guarantee, people. How do you identify red flags before signing on a client? And I know I'm a little over in time here. So I'm going to wrap it up in a little bit here, like 10 minutes or so. How do you identify the red flags before signing a client? How do you know all this? Are you a mind reader? Well, one, write this down. One is have them fill out an application before the discovery call. We do. We have an application. Have them fill out an application. So we're looking for red flags. Number one, do they take the time to fill it out? Right? You got to wonder about somebody who doesn't even take the time to fill out your application. Do they really want it that bad? Are the answers that they write meaningful? I can always tell when I look at someone's application, the people that really want it and the people that just kind of threw it together, right? Oh, just threw together a couple words each answer. Answers in an application alone can help indicate red flags. And that doesn't mean necessarily you're like, oh, nope, red flag, you're gone. But it's something you might want to highlight to get into and talk to on the discovery call. Again, you can go to, and I'll put this link in the chat. You can go to my website page, the link I just dropped into the chat for my application, and that's just an example of a way to identify red flags before you work with somebody. The second way to identify red flags before you sign on a client is the discovery call. You get on the discovery call. A discovery call is a two-way street, right? It's like a first date. You are getting to know them and vice versa to see if you are a fit. I will be totally transparent and tell y'all that we at the Corporate to Six Figure Coach Academy typically have to say no to somebody just about once a launch, once a workshop. And I'm talking about people that are like, I want to join, here's my credit card, I'm ready. But, we talked about all these red flags today. We saw a red flag and it just wouldn't be ethical to bring them in. So be aware during the discovery call of what they say. We talked about all the red flags. You might even want to, in listening to this recording, create a checklist, a red flag checklist. And then as you're on the discovery call, you can kind of, checklist the stuff that you're like, oh, this kind of appeared. And again, it doesn't mean if one thing appears, you're like, bye, not going to work with you. But it does mean lean in, get curious, ask some open-ended questions, dig into that red flag. Is it really a red flag, right? Find out. Be aware of their body language. That's why I love to do a Zoom discovery session, right? Be aware of their body language. Do they have a closed body language? Right? Leaning back, arms folded, defensive mode. Be aware of their energy, right? We can read energy. That's our magical power. Be aware of their energy. Number 3, how do they show up in your community? So again, we're talking about how do you identify the red flags before signing on a client? How do they show up in your community before you even get on a discovery call, right? I've been able to identify red flags just from the way sometimes people show up in my community. So be it if you have a Facebook group like I do, sometimes just on your social media, you're posting on social media, you see certain people commenting. If you go live, like I'm going live here, you go live on wherever, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. How are they showing up in the comments, right? Demanding, rude, or polite, right? They have something of value to add. They respect others, right? We've been able to identify people just on how they show up. And Stacy brought this up, which was a really good one. If they're blaming, when you ask them the question, okay, you want to achieve this goal. Okay, this is the urgent problem you're trying to solve. Tell me more about why you haven't solved that yet, right? I'm curious, what's been standing in your way? And if the only thing they can share is blaming past coaches, well, I had this coach who was so terrible, and they go on and on and on. Red flag, mayday, 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 abort, abort. That's a major red flag. How do you gracefully turn down a potential client that you know is not a fit? Once you realize they're not a fit, right? And we're coaches, right? We want to serve, we want to support, we want to share love. We're full of anabolic energy. It hurts sometimes to say no. But honestly, if it's not a fit, it's the ethical thing to do. So there's a couple different ways here. If they fill out the application and you read the application and you just know right away, like, this is not a fit, right? It can be something like, hey, so-and-so, thank you so much for filling out the discovery call application for the XYZ coaching program. I noticed you selected the answer in my application, whatever the answer was. I want to be fully transparent with you, and then share why that answer makes you a mismatch. And sometimes it's as simple as pricing, right? And that doesn't mean like, red flag, but if the pricing's a mismatch, it's a mismatch. So you could share for that kind of a person in the application, like, hey, this is the price of my program. If you still feel like this is feasible, let me know. I'll send you a link to schedule a call. If not, feel free. Here's a link. Enjoy my free resources posted on my website, right? And this is something you guys don't have to worry about till down the road, but eventually my recommendation is to have free resources for people. Whether you go live once a week, you blog, you create a podcast, you want to develop a library of free content so people can get to know you before they invest in you. Sometimes you won't know if it's a no until after the discovery call, right? And sometimes, and it hurts sometimes too, right? They do the discovery call and they say, yes, I want to join, right? And then you have to send them a message afterwards. And I'm a processor, so it's tough. Sometimes I need to process, what just happened. But just saying, hey, thank you so much for your time. I value your time so much, doing this discovery session with me. I feel that based on what you shared during our call, you would be a better fit for a different program. And this is where you might want to have lined up some referrals. Everybody here should have some referrals for people. And hey, even better if you have referrals that they send people to you, you send people to them. Maybe you guys have referral fees, whatever. So, hey, here are some referrals. Here are some of my free resources, all the best, right? And I've had people that, even after all that, are still kind of pushing. And again, I know it hurts our hearts to say no, but I like to be very transparent and just say, listen, it wouldn't be ethical. It wouldn't be ethical for me to accept your money or to accept somebody into my coaching program that I can already see is not a fit. That wouldn't be right. Okay? Last but not least, how do we attract the green flag clients that you love to work with? And how do you identify what types of clients would be successful in your program? So first, you got to get really good at learning how to describe your ideal client. This is a lesson I do with my clients in Module 1, describing your ideal client. So I'll give you guys an example. This is something I was looking at an old deck I did on a master class. So I'm just going to give you an example. This is something I said where I was trying to kind of describe my ideal client. Okay. And this is me too, looking back and thinking at who are the people that have joined my program? Who are the people that have been successful in my program? Who are the people that I've loved to work with in my program? Right. So I'm kind of looking back and then sharing. This is for you, and it's good for you guys to almost make a table. This coaching program is for you if, and make a list. Who's it good for? This coaching program is not for you if, and then list those red flags. That's a great resource to have on your website, by the way. This is for you if, this is not for you if. So I would say, hey, this program is for you if you're a corporate professional with a desire to coach. It's my niche. This is for you if you're feeling stagnant, unfulfilled, or exhausted from your corporate job, right? If you're like, woohoo, my corporate job, I want to do this forever, probably aren't looking to create a full-time coaching business. This is for you if I notice I attract a lot of human resources, talent and development, learning and development, recruiters, people ops, right? So you can share examples of the types of people you attract. This program is for you if you have no idea where to start when it comes to figuring out how to replace your six-figure corporate income with the six-figure coaching business. So you describe where they're at in the process. This program is for you if, and again, I'm just sharing with you guys something I've said in the past. You have an innate calling to serve, to coach, to make a real difference. So I'm talking about what's your purpose, what's your calling, what motivates you. If you ain't motivated, it's going to be a hard journey in the program. You ponder taking the leap into starting your own coaching business, but you feel trapped by the self-imposed corporate golden handcuffs. So I'm using their exact words, but it's the truth too, right? So you want to use their words of the type of ideal client that you would like to work with or that does well in your program. So where do you want to put this type of information, right? The green flags, this is for you if. Where do we put this type of information? You want to put it on your services page, your website page, on your website. So on your services page where you describe your coaching program, that's a great place to say, this is for you if. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. In the pre-discovery call email, so somebody books a discovery call, you send them an email to get them ready for the discovery call, etc. That's a great place to share a little bit more clarity, whether it's in a video or you send them a link on who the program is for. During the discovery call is another great time to say this program is for these type of people. And this, we're repeating it in all these different places. Why? Because it takes repetition to sink in for people, and that's what's going to attract the right types of clients to us. So we're going to talk about it during the discovery call. When you're posting on social media, that's a great post. Hey, if you're this type of person, listen up, right? Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. That's a great post every 2 weeks to talk about the types of people you work with, the green flags. Even on your social media profile, your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, there are places you can optimize your profile to describe your ideal client. Okay? Last but not least, you want to bring on people who are going to be successful in your program. That's what the client wants. That's what you want, right? And again, we don't have a crystal ball, right? It can be hard to figure out, well, how do I know if they're going to be successful? But I encourage you to think of a couple things. One, most of you are going to be some version of your client, right? That your client maybe was you 2 steps ago. You were them a couple years ago. So ask yourself, what did it take me to be successful in this niche? If you're a dating coach, if you're a leadership coach, if you're a business coach, if you're a health coach, what did it take you to be successful? Right? Those are some green flags. And then when you start to coach eventually, you're going to start to really pay attention to those clients that you love to work with, the ones who are killing it, doing great, and ask yourself, what is it about this human that makes them the perfect person for my program? And that's something over time you're going to learn what those green flags are. And then we're going to communicate that and market that everywhere to attract the right type of people. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go here. There you have it, how to identify red flags in coaching prospects. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear, what is your biggest takeaway from today's lesson? Just give me one. What is your biggest takeaway from today's lesson? Give me one. As always, if you'd like additional coaching support with your business, check out, there's a link in the copy of the post where you can apply for a discovery call with us so we can learn more about your business challenges and goals. You can ask us questions. It's pretty casual, right? You can just kind of go through with us, ask us any questions you have, and we can see if we're a fit. Right? It's fun to do those calls. Last but not least, make sure you are registered for the upcoming workshop. Very important that each and every one of you has that blueprint to transition from corporate to coach, because if you're in your 9-to-5 job and you're building a coaching business, but you have no freaking clue how you're going to make a transition to mitigate financial risk, it's not going to matter if you have a website. It's not going to matter if you have clients. None of that will matter until you do the first step, which is building that bridge, that transition bridge. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will catch you next week. Same time, same place, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard.